Welcome everyone to the ESX webinar series brought to you by Security Systems News, and today's webinar, In the Palm of Your Hand, Using Mobile Devices to Elevate Sales. Today's webinar is brought to you by NAPCO Security Technologies and their product line iBridge. This is the second in a three-part series by NAPCO on interactive services and the connected home. Last week we looked at a high-level business aspects of the residential market and some of the issues about competing with the telecoms, which technologies and how to choose them. Today we're going to look a little closer at the technology that's used for sales, with a focus on sales and a close-up on the apps. Next month, there is a webinar on April 22nd, also by NAPCO, in the same topic area for light commercial. So far, we've been talking about residential, so that will be the closer on that three-part series. Before we get started, I'd like to take a minute to do some quick housekeeping. We will be recording this webinar, and it will be available for on-demand viewing in our ESXperience section of ESX Web. You'll be able to navigate to it pretty easily from the left-hand quick link buttons on our website, ESX Web. And it's also available in the webinar section on the web. These are straight links you can type in, and you'll see this year's webinar content so far, and also information on the upcoming webinars, one of which I just mentioned. In the right-hand side, you'll see a control panel where there are several panes, and one is questions. If you have questions during the webinar, go ahead and type those in. After everyone has given their presentations, we'll do a Q&A interactive with the audience. So if you want to direct your questions generally, just type them in straight. If you'd like to direct them to an individual speaker, go ahead and type the speaker's name in there so we know who to ask. And speaking of speakers, we have a very good lineup for you today of industry professionals. ESX prides itself on peer-based information sharing, and we have three industry leaders today to share their experiences, in particular their successes, what works, and how they're using this technology. To start, we have Garrett Bruce, joint venture partner with Point Home Security in New Orleans, Louisiana. We also have Erica Wood, Chief Security Officer at American Fire and Security in Dayton, Ohio, and Brandon Savage, Senior Vice President, Customer Experience and Operations at Alarm Capital Alliance. I am Virginia Williams, Director of Program Development for AE Ventures. We manage the ESX show. George Havia is also joining us from our sponsor, NAPCO. He's the Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing in New York, New York. Each of these professionals is going to tackle an individual topic, and that'll be the format that we use for you. Our learning objectives are very straightforward, kept them nice and simple. First, we're going to talk about some of the tactical overview options you have with implementation and how the apps are being implemented in sales. We're also going to talk about training technicians. This is more of a marketing side and how to prep technicians from the home office, both for new customers and existing customers. And then third, we're going to talk about operational efficiencies. So as you're using these apps, and there are many apps that go with the sales process, you'll get sort of an executive view about how to combine them to use different apps for different applications. Each of our speakers is uniquely qualified to talk about these subjects and has some very informative personal experience to share with you. I know that you all have heard a lot on this subject. It's been covered a lot recently about all the reasons why you should be involved in interactive services in your business, the advantages of it, the sticky customer, the high margin RMR, many articles written on that subject, and the 40,000-foot view and what's happening in the market. But today we're going to really home in on how. We want all of our information to be useful to you and very implementable. So with that, we will first have a word from our sponsor. George Havia is will give us some information about the iBridge brand and how NAPCO is using interactive technologies and apps for mobile devices. George has been working in the industry for over a decade. He has specialized in large company marketing across a variety of technologies prior to joining the security industry. George specializes in consumer research and has a depth of understanding of both the market and NAPCO's product solutions. So I'll turn it over to you, George.
Thank you, Virginia. I really appreciate it. Appreciate being here, being part of this important webinar. I think it's a really good chance for the dealers out there to increase their sales as well as their RMR. So let's dive deep into apps and what they're all about and how they relate to our industry. Apps are a huge part of people's lives. I would imagine that right now some of you guys on the webinar are using your tablets to access this webinar. And I would imagine a lot of you guys out there would really be a little lost without your Angry Birds Rio on your tablet. But I mean, consumers have really become used to playing words with friends, doing, going to the weather and going on Facebook. And really, it's a large movement that's going on right now because you have 65% plus of the 110 million households in the country using smartphones or tablets. And the main reason the main way they use those smartphones and tablets is by using apps. The typical smartphone user interacts with their phone 22 times a day, which means that they're really emotionally connected to this device. And if you want to get to your consumer, the best way to do it is to be connected to that device, which all these consumers rely on day in, day out to really almost run their lives. Apps are also fast becoming the primary user interface in homes and businesses, replacing physical keypads and cable boxes. I bet you never thought the day would come where you'd be playing Scrabble on your cell phone with somebody thousands of miles away. So the day's here. We see really as an industry, from a hardware standpoint, physical keypads becoming less of the interface for consumers, and believe it or not, people not really going up to a thermostat in their home or a security keypad or anything else. We see them really interacting on their smart devices. So as an industry, let's talk about security. What do we have to do at this point? We have to make sure that we evolve and continue to fit into exactly how today's consumer is living and interfacing with our products. If we don't really change and we don't really try to live in the consumer's life, then eventually, we would have a negative impact on our business, and our growth would be somewhat stymied. So looking at the primary benefits for supplying your customers with security or connected home app. First of all, it makes the system that you install in your customer's home, be it either the connected home stuff or the security system, makes it usable anytime from anywhere. And that really increases the value to the consumer. And if they're using it very frequently, and if you increase the value, that really lowers the attrition. You're not going to have one of your customers sit there and say, gee, I haven't really used my security system in a little while, or I haven't done this or that. So it lowers your attrition the more you get them involved with apps. And it can also provide a new source of RMR so that they could take advantage of that service, and you would actually charge them a recurring monthly revenue for that service. And then finally, and this is really important, it provides you with an opportunity to touch your consumer more frequently and keep your company's brand name relevant to them, or better, to promote them via the app. So on the next slide, please, Virginia, next slide. On the next slide, here's a good example of one of our apps on an iBridge. This is an app shown on a tablet. However, you can also have this on any smartphone. So our app contains a slot there to the left where you see ABC Security, where you can actually put your brand name and your logo on the left-hand side. And then when the consumer clicks on that, they can be taken to a one-page summary or promotion of whatever you have going at your company. So it's a really nice way to constantly keep in touch. When the consumer is using this app away from home, on their smartphone, wherever, they can always click on that, on your brand, and then go to take advantage of a promotion, whatever promotion you want to put together. And then let's just go over a couple of apps that we have as part of the iBridge brand. So we have our main app, which is the iBridge Connected Home app. And this really enables your customers to control their security system, video cameras, entry locks, thermostats, and lighting, all from the comfort of their smartphone or tablet. So as you can see there on the upper left side, you have the video GUI. Then you can control your lights. If you look below that, the video. And then the main splash page, you see that has ABC Security. The consumer can go to anything: security, video, automation, climate, or locks. And then on the right side, you see the climate control. So this is really an all-in-one kind of app where the consumer can control a variety of subsystems using this thing from anywhere at any time. Next slide. Then additionally, we have another app which is pretty unique. I don't know of anything in the industry that's like this. It's our iRemote virtual keypad app. And what this does is it provides a 100% working keypad to the consumer. So anything that can be done at the keypad can be done remotely, including programming. So from a customer service standpoint, if a customer calls and they've given you the right to be able to change their chime or change their code, you can do that remotely. The good part about this is that you don't have to retrain the consumer on another graphical user interface. You can just go to this thing, and it's just like operating the keypad, but you can have it anywhere. Next slide. Our next app is our IC Video remote video viewing app. And this is very helpful in case you're a consumer, you want to see what your dog is up to there. You see a nice Boston Terrier on the right. We use this product. Their consumers use it on yachts to keep track of their boats, elderly parents, things like that. So this app can be added to any manufacturer's security installation or any kind of security system. And it provides you, the dealer, with extra RMR and enables your customers to view real-time video or recorded clips of their homes or business, which is very valuable to the consumer, as our research has proven. Next slide, please. And then finally, something that can be added on very easily and is actually part of a radio installation, our Starlink 3G, 4G radio arm-disarm app can be used on any security panel, not just NAPCO security panels. Anytime you install a Starlink radio, you can provide your customer with a free app, and you see the app on the left there. Essentially, it's a arm-disarm app. They press the button, they can arm it, and it's a very nice way to offer consumers something that has a lot of utility, and it can actually drive your RMR. What we've seen from our research is that of the most popular apps, consumers want to, number one, arm and disarm their systems, And then number 2, they want to view remote video. So that's what our research has shown. And then the final slide. Thanks, Virginia. So I'd like to thank everybody with ESA. And to learn more about how apps can win you new customers and increase your RMR, go to napcosecurity.com, and it'd be our pleasure to take you through all the possibilities with apps. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. It's a great overview of the iBridge product line. Now, for our first industry perspective, we're going to hear from Garrett Bruce, joint venture partner for Point Home Security in New Orleans, Louisiana. Garrett oversees sales and operations for the Louisiana-Mississippi region. He's formerly worked at ADS Security and USA Burglar and Fire Alarm. He's the inaugural chair of the ESA Sales and Marketing Professional Group, and he's the current vice chair of that group. He's also active in other ESA professional groups, the Young Security Professionals and the Secure Plus Task Force. So keeping it brief, I'll turn it over to you, Garrett.
So thank you for the introduction, and thank you all for attending. I'll jump right in. At Point, we're what we like to call a paperless organization. So we're using mobile apps for every stage of the sale, from the customer interaction to checking and running credits, to e-contracting and closing the sale. So I wanted to pull out a few bullet points for you guys that we feel really helps us be successful. So I'll just dive right in. The first is setting the stage. So it can be very frustrating to a sales rep who goes out to a customer's home to interact with them and display the system and the product that you're trying to sell. If the system is not fully functional and does not display all of the different features that you're offering. So the first thing is to make sure you set up a system that exists solely for sales reps to demo to customers. This shouldn't be a system that you use to train technicians on. It exists for that sole purpose. It's got to have all the available features. So if the product you're selling has the ability to demo lights, locks, thermostats, you want to make sure those features are enabled on that demo app, and that you can demo those to the customer. You got to make sure it's being routinely maintained and tested. And a key piece, I think, that I'll dive into a little bit later is make sure you have a few cameras that look at the demo items. So if it's a lock or a thermostat or a lamp that turns on or off, make sure you've got a camera looking at those so that you can show the customer. And the second part of that is you got to make sure the reps are trained and fluent in every single feature and the benefits they provide. One thing we like to focus on is making sure that our reps are comfortable talking about certain scenarios, such as, hey, if there's a fire alarm, it'll shut off the thermostat, it'll turn some lights on to light your path out of the house and unlock your front door. It's a lot more effective to speak with your customer in terms of those benefits and how they would apply in an emergency situation and how they all work together. So once you have the stage kind of set up and you've got this fully functional app that you can use to interact with a customer, we'll talk about some bullet points here of interacting with the customer. So I like to call it showing versus telling. It's really easy for a sales rep to breeze through a demonstration with an app. If they're really comfortable with the navigation, it can confuse the customer if they're not familiar with the same navigation. So one thing we stress that's very important as part of our sales presentation is to sit the customer down, have them pull out their mobile device, if it's an iPhone or a smartphone or an iPad, some sort of tablet, have them download the app to their mobile device and put your demo login information into their app. Now this does a couple of things. So number one, you're putting the customer in control, and you can have them navigate throughout the app, perform certain tasks like unlocking a door, changing temperature on the thermostat, and then the rep can actually pull up the video feed on his phone and show the customer what what those items are doing back at the office on the demo system. So it really shows them how easy the app is to use. And as a kind of a bonus kicker at the end, if you don't happen to close the deal, the one-call close that you're looking for, it gives the customer something to play with while they're going through the decision process, and it can easily close the sale for you after you leave. So as far as the customer interaction talking points, we really feel like that one item, having the customer put that app on their mobile device and giving the demo system login has been very effective for us for quite a while. So the next bullet point I wanted to talk about is using the app to sell better video surveillance. One of the hardest things we do in this industry when selling surveillance is properly manage customer expectations. Particularly in the residential CCTV market where clients have little to no experience with CCTV. So it's, if you're not very careful in the expectations you set, you can give the customer a bad experience, and nobody wants that. So one neat thing that you may not know about most mobile devices, so most phones and tablets, they have a 3 to 4 millimeter lens, which is similar to most fixed lens analog CCTV cameras. And this allows reps to properly manage customers' expectation when it comes to field of view and clarity at a distance. So we encourage our sales reps, when you're trying to explain to a customer what exactly they're going to see, it's best if you use your device to take a picture of the target area and show the customer to give them a better perspective of how wide angle the lens will be, with the caveat that it will be slightly different. But because the lens angle is so similar, we find that it can really properly manage their expectations. And secondly, nearly all DVR manufacturers provide an app for DVR viewing, and I guarantee your customers, if they're shopping for CCTV, they expect to be able to view it remotely. So if you don't demonstrate the system on your mobile device, you will lose the deal to your competitor because they most likely will. So again, make sure the stage is set right. Make sure you've got indoor and outdoor cameras set up, preferably in an environment where they'll see some action or motion. And make sure your sales reps can fully demo the app, including accessing recorded video if applicable. And hurrying along here, the last point I wanted to hit on is how mobile apps can really help you close the sale, how they can make contracting easier for the sales rep and a lot cleaner for your business. So anyone that's been feet on the street and sold security has found themselves with a willing customer and no paperwork at some point in their career. So an e-contracting solution with an app reduces the amount of luggage that a rep has to carry around to a simple tablet. Looks professional. The customer gets an immediate copy. There are no missing signatures, initials, or other pitfalls that can slow down the processing, onboarding, and commissioning of the account. So if you're part of a dealer program, many times it can speed up funding dramatically, which can improve your cash flow on a weekly basis. So, another aspect is any company who relies on credit scores to determine if a customer qualifies. At some point, they've had an office administrator run the credit. The customer didn't pass, and then the rep feels like they've wasted their time. They've got to go back and break the bad news to the customer. So apps can make that an easy process in the house as part of the contracting process, which saves everyone time and frustration. And we've certainly enjoyed being able to e-contract and handle the credit application there in the home on the spot, and the customers seem to respond pretty well to it. So those are kind of three main points that Point has really pulled out of our experience that I wanted to share with you guys. And at this point, I'll kick it back to you, Virginia, so we can hear from Erica.
And for a shift to a more marketing focus and how to prep your sales and service techs, we're going to hear from Erica Wood. Erica is the security girl. So anyone who is looking to use that domain or handle in any kind of social media, it's probably already taken. Erica specializes in social media and the use of these technologies in marketing. She has several points of notoriety in industry recognition, including making the American Fire and Security number 16 on the SDI Fast 50, and she's also in the SSN 20 under 40 for 2012. And finally, Erica is the chair of the ESA Sales and Marketing Professionals Group as well. So I'll turn it over to you, Erica.
Great, Virginia. Thanks so much for that great introduction. And I know that we're kind of running short on time, so I'll make this quick. And if anyone has any questions, you can reach out to me on Twitter or Facebook or anything. Our company really quickly uses apps just about for everything. We have mobile tech tools. Our techs can actually check in and out via apps so they can get their schedule for the day. They can actually tell us what they did via their app, so our billing process is much, much faster. Our sales reps have an app that they use for their CRM, and we also take payments on site. So if you do a deposit or if you take a payment, you can actually just swipe the credit card on your phone and move on. You don't have to wait for if a check's going to clear or anything like that. So we've really been able to use apps to really be able to kind of streamline everything that we do here at our company. The first thing I'm going to go over with is kind of a sales toolkit. I know that every company does things different just based off of their size and what they do, but there's a few things that they should be able to do. The first thing is your entire staff, whether they're salespeople, whether they're techs, whether there's someone that answers the phone in the office, it doesn't matter who it is. Make sure that they know how to use these apps, that they know how to utilize the tablets, the mobile applications, anything like that, because a customer might not call their sales rep. They may call into the office and say, I don't know how to bring up my camera, or I don't know how to do this or that. So make it so that you're very customer service oriented as far as this goes. Like Garrett said, make sure that everyone knows how to utilize your in-house demo system, or we like all of our employees to actually have the system in their house because they understand it better because they use it daily. And in their toolkit, if you guys have a price sheet of any sort, make sure that they have that they know the pricing. I don't know how many times I've had salespeople come to my house for something and they don't know how much stuff costs and they have to get back to me a few days later. I mean, in our business, it's kind of a, this is what I want to do it now. You're really hoping to get that sale on the first visit. You don't want to have to go back. And if you guys don't do e-contracts through apps, make sure that they have any forms that they need. You know, and for our guys, because we do have people that don't want to do e-contracts. They don't understand it. They're afraid they'll lose it, whatever the case may be. We make sure that they have a folder with our company name and that they have everything that they need so that they're just ready to go and that people don't feel uncomfortable. We want the clients to be as comfortable as they can when we're doing the sale. So make sure that they have everything. And also, a lot of manufacturers have great manufacturing materials, including videos or cut sheets or whatever. Make sure that you've got some leave behinds with your company information on it, just in case they're not ready to make the decision right that minute. You know, you want to make sure that they can go back and have something to touch, whether it's a demo of your app or the cut sheets or whatever. So make sure that you've got all of that stuff. The next thing I kind of want to cover really quick is empowering your technicians. In most companies, I mean, the salesperson goes in, they make the sale really quick, and I know that our salespeople, they always go back and they check up with them a few days after the install to make sure that they're happy, that there's no questions or anything. But your technicians probably have the most face-to-face interaction. I mean, they're there while the clients are in their homes, messing around, doing whatever. So it's really important that your technicians are kind of empowered to be able to do upsells or to be able to suggest a product that they may not be installing. And the number one thing that we tell our technicians and everybody in our company is that they need to be like as friendly as possible. Like, think of your grandma and how nice you want to be to her, or whatever you have to do to make sure that you're nice. But 40% of customers on a national average, they'll purchase more from a company if they have a good customer experience. They're not going to price shop and look around. So if they get that warm and fuzzy feeling from your company, they're going to go back and they're going to buy more. And another thing that we do is that our technicians all go through a mini sales training. They actually go out with our salespeople for a day or two and see how the sales process works. And our salespeople go out with our technicians and see how the installing process works. We make sure that we do it both ways because it really cuts down on the sales guy messed this sale up, or the tech messed up where I wanted this, or whatever. It kind of makes everyone be on the same page. So make sure that the techs are prepared to sell if there is a question. And also, because the techs are in the house the most, they need to kind of pay attention to the client's lifestyles, because when the salesperson's in there, you're usually sitting at the dining room table or on their couch or whatever, talking to them about the sale. But when the tech's there doing the install, the people, they're watching them, but they're not just sitting there with them the whole time. So if you notice them going in and out of a door that may not have a contact, maybe the tech can suggest putting a contact on that door. Or if they say something like, wouldn't it be nice if I could change my thermostat, because maybe, the sale just got too overwhelming for them and they forgot about that. So make sure that your techs really listen to what the clients say if they use that wouldn't be nice phrases I like to use, because we get that a lot, and that's how our techs get those upsells. And I guess we can go ahead and turn it on over to Brandon.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Erica. That personal touch. So Brandon is our final speaker. Brandon was a hard person to fit into one slide, actually. So as far as his background, he's worked in the security industry for 15 years and also in a variety of management positions in other industries as well, in related technologies, we'll say. In the security industry itself, he's formerly worked for Safe Home Security, Bay Alarm Security, and Vivint. He specializes in overall management and operations and management systems. Brandon is currently the Senior Vice President of Customer Experience and Operations at Alarm Capital Alliance in Newtown Square, Pennsylvania. So before I turn it over to Brandon, I do want to say we're running late. And if any of you want to stick around, we have questions coming in, and we will get to them. So sorry to interrupt, but I'll turn it over to you now, Brandon.
Thanks, Virginia. I wanted to talk not from a sales level perspective, but some of you may be now kind of wondering, how do I go out and equip my entire sales team with tablets? I'm sure for at least a portion of those that are attending, that's one of the questions. They know they want to go there. So I want to talk about some of the pros and cons, kind of the cost-benefit analysis of doing so. Now, obviously, we've talked a bit about the sales kits and having sales tools to be able to close the sales. That's certainly the number one reason. We've talked about e-contracts, and you know that you're going to be able to save some money there if you can funnel your sales contracts to a digital approach and not have to handle the paperwork and lose some of the money or spend money trying to track that paperwork all the way into your corporate office. Some other things you may not have thought of is the ability to do lead dispatching, that if you have a lead-based business, that you'd be able to dispatch those leads directly to your sales reps through the tablets. To have a shared knowledge base where you can take all of this information that both sales reps and technicians could use to do their job more effectively and have it available on the tablet. One tool we've been looking at from a field operations point of view is ServiceMax, and there's certainly a lot of great reasons to have both your sales reps and your field operations on a similar platform and to be able to share some of the tools across both. Moving to the next slide. I also agree with what both Erica and Garrett have said, that you really want to make sure you give your sales team hands-on and real experience. You want them to understand your product. You want them to understand the associated apps. You want to set up an office demo. But I'll even take it one step further and say you should look within your company to say, is there a way that I can make sure that each of my employees, salespeople and technicians, and even anyone I have in the back office, that they can have their own system in their home? Because I can guarantee you that real use cases of how they use the system, the app, the interactive services will trump a demo any day. For them to be able to give those real-life examples of how their wife uses that app is very powerful and will allow them to go out to sell more. If you're looking at, okay, I want to do something, I want to create a sales kit, where can I start? Erica mentioned that there is a lot of material from manufacturers. They've got videos, they've got cut sheets. What tools can you use? You can put together kind of a PowerPoint-like presentation. I've seen companies like Vivint has done a very powerful multimedia approach using Adobe InDesign that combines not only slides, images, but also videos, and in a kind of a non-linear format so that a sales rep can toggle through depending upon what the customer needs and show that on demand. Prezi is another great presentation tool. I know of one company in particular called Puffingston that is offering the ability that they'll sit down with you and they'll put together a sales presentation in Prezi for your organization. We're currently in the process of doing that right now, and have found that to be a very helpful company to be able to move that forward. Next slide. One of the questions you may have is whether or not you as a company are going to invest and buy the devices, or whether you expect your employees to provide that device. I want to give a quick example. This was a use case that I was exposed to last week. Pitney Bowes made the decision to add 2,500 units to their field operations and decided to use iPads for their implementation. And the project manager had allocated 5% breakage, assuming that over the course of the year they would have to replace 5% of those, and they actually saw 0% breakage, which was just astounding. And what they attributed that to is that as part of them providing the iPads to their employees, they also said you can use this for personal usage. And what they found and how that correlated to the breakage percentage is they had technicians that said, I wouldn't even dream of dropping my iPad because my wife will kill me when I get home because she uses this at night to do some of her personal stuff. And then all of a sudden there was a bit more ownership of the devices when the company had provided it, but they were allowing the employee to use it for personal use as well. So just some thoughts as you're looking into how can I fit this into our budget for our company, and what that implementation might look like. I thought these might be some useful points of data. Back to you, Virginia.
Very good. Thank you, Brandon. Interesting anecdote. We do have some time for some questions, and I see a couple of them have come in. We're going to probably run about 5 minutes over, so I hope you guys can stick around. We have some information to share with you after we get through our Q&A portion. But I'll start with the first one. This one is to Garrett, and it says, how do you handle having more than one salesperson access your system at the same time?
It's going to happen, and it's also another thing where you're going to have, if you give customers the login information, they're going to be playing around with it too. So, one thing we do to manage that is we every week or so we'll change the login information, maybe every 2 weeks. Change the login and password just so if there are any customers out there that have bought or maybe chose to go with another vendor, then we've essentially removed their access to it. Also, it keeps your reps that are actively using it engaged, and they know that they have to keep up with the current login information. So managing that piece is one part of it. And from time to time, you will have, issues where there are too many people logged in, but that's very rare, depending on the size of your organization, of course. If you had a large organization, with 50 to 100 reps, you may want to have 2 different systems. That may make it a little easier. But most manufacturers and service providers allow several different people to be logged in at the same time. And it just makes for good conversation if you say, oh, if you're able to say, oh, well, look, we can look at the history here. I can see that somebody else is logged in and they're messing with it too. So it's just one of those things that you have to be prepared to explain to your customer that, hey, look, you know, we use this as a demo. There are other people that may be using it as well. So don't be surprised if you see somebody else locking the door while you're logged in.
Very good. Thank you, Garrett. Okay, the next one doesn't say Brandon, but it kind of looks like a follow-up to his, so I'll direct it to Brandon. Does anyone have a contract between the sales staff and the employee that you give the iPad to? You want to take that one, Brandon?
Sure. I think you can treat it just as you would a cell phone, where if the employee leaves, that's something that they need to return back to you upon departure of the company. Otherwise, you charge it out of their last paycheck. You can certainly do it that way. I've seen some organizations where they decide not to provide it, but they do it as part of like a sales incentive. If you do so many sales, we'll actually provide you an iPad as a gift, and so it actually is owned by the employee. I've seen other organizations that have basically said, we'll develop the tools. It's up to you to go buy the iPad to use. And they basically say, our best sales reps know this is an investment that they need to make in order to be a successful sales rep. So you can certainly take a variety of different approaches to it.
Okay, thank you, Brandon. Okay, there's one for Erica. This has to do with the service techs. And I guess knowing that service techs are sometimes reluctant to be sales agents, how and when, this is for advice, I guess, how and when should a service tech approach a customer for an upgrade? Erica?
Well, you know, it kind of depends. You know, we currently, just this morning, I went out with a service tech because he's not sales oriented. And we knew that they were due for an upgrade. Number one, their cell unit is a 2G cell unit. So if you know that they have something that is about to expire, that has a sundown date, that's a great time for them to mention, hey, you might want to look into upgrading. You know, I can get someone out here for you, or I can go over this, you know, with you myself. Or if personally, if the system is just too far gone now, with this new equipment, we don't have those issues. But if you're going out with an older panel or even a hardwired panel, we always, you know, recommend those upgrades. Look at what you can do now. I mean, the difference from just being able to arm or unarm your system from your cell phone to having to do it from a keypad, the old school kind of traditional way, has made a huge difference for us just to be able to upgrade with that. And with takeover modules, and every manufacturer is different, but with being able to do that where they don't have a big expense in the upgrade, those are always the easiest ones for our techs to do.
Very good. Very insightful. Okay, looks like another one for Garrett. Wants to know, can you give some examples of apps that you use? Garrett? Need to unmute, Garrett. Sorry, people. It's technology.
There we go. Sorry about that.
So
we use the app that's, for instance, we use Alarm.com as our service provider, so we're using the app that they've provided. Additionally, just about every manufacturer that will provide or does have out there an actual demo, which is where you can interact with the keypad. Maybe it's got just a picture of whatever keypad you have. And for instance, I know that Honeywell has one for the Lynx. I know that 2GIG has one for the Go Control. So we use those two apps the most for customer interaction. And then, whichever CCTV manufacturer you're using, they will provide an app as well. So it's the same apps in most cases that the customer would be using themselves because you want to keep that experience congruent with what they're going to be doing once they purchase your product.
Very good. And as I heard somebody say the other day, not all apps are created equal. So given that they're tied to products, I think what that's saying is that not all products are created equal too. So we are a little bit late on time, and since I don't see any pressing questions coming on in the audience, I would love to ask some more, but I think in the interest of time, we should move on. There is plenty more on this subject at the ESX conference. I've highlighted a few of these sessions for you in the sales and marketing track in particular. We have an entire track on sales and marketing at ESX, and the speakers today, two of them, in fact, are on the advisory committee that helps us with the conference. It'd be Garrett Bruce and Erica Wood, so a special shout out to them. These are their sessions at the show, and you can find more on ESX Web for all of the sessions in this track. These are also the sessions on interactive services, and this topic basically threads throughout the conference. It's not just in sales. There are a number of aspects about business and how to incorporate the technology, how to monitor it, even the super sessions, it's coming up. So there's no doubt that this is a very topical issue and something that's sort of taken the industry by storm even. Finally, I want to talk to you about a little promotion that we're doing this year. It's pretty cool. We're collecting My Company selfies. We want fun photos of your company and your team. It can be serious, nostalgic, or even funny. We really like the funny ones, actually. The office party ones come to mind. You can post them on our Facebook page or our Twitter. It would be the Electronic Security Expo, and Twitter's the hashtag ESX2014. We're putting together a cool collage that we'll have at the opening of the expo for you, so it'll be fun. There's no reason why you can't have fun while you're at the show. And finally, I want to talk a little bit about registration, remind you of some dates that are coming up. We have early discounts for that end in 4 days, March 31st. So if you haven't registered, do it now. We have also more discounts for teams. As I mentioned, we are very big on teams, and we feel like you're going to get the most out of your ESXperience if you come as a team and you share your experiences on site and back home. I would like to thank our speakers today, excellent information, and our sponsor, NAPCO, for all their information on the iBridge product. You can see all of us at the show. NAPCO's booth will be 201, so stop there and see George, get more information on the iBridge product. And all of the speakers will be in the conference, so make sure you register for the conference as well. Deluxe Pass gets you into all of the conference and the expo, basically everything. So with that, we'll see you in Nashville, and that concludes our webinar. Thanks, guys.